Really appreciate you all coming today. This is a very special experience for Tony and Jody and all of the Pullman team. It's interesting that around the world you can ride vintage trains that are appropriate for the environment that they're in. You can ride the Royal Scot in Scotland. You can ride the Venice Simplon Orient Express to Venice. But for years and years, there has not been an opportunity to ride the most interesting to us, anyway, the most interesting form of land transportation native to America, and that's the Pullman car. You know, to me, calling something American Orient Express is not right, because what Pullman has meant to me has been just as important to this country as the Orient Express was to Europe. And I started riding trains when I was very young. We're all going to get to go see the train, but you're going to have to listen to a couple stories, because that's what this is really about. It's about America, and it's about what America was about to people who lived here. And so the first part of the story is that when my dad got out of World War II, he was in the Navy. He was transferred from Norfolk, Virginia, Pensacola, Florida. My mom was invited to join him, and they put her on an airplane. It was a DC-3, and it was the last flight of this DC-3. It had several million miles on it. They had a cake, and just as they went to blow out the candles to celebrate the life of this plane, it lost power and went into a dive. And it pulled up about 100 feet above the ground. She got off and said, "I am never getting on an airplane again." So when I was a kid, we went everywhere by train. We went to Grandma's house. We went to the coast. We took the train. And to me, as a child, wow, this is nice. The Pullman porter turns down my bed at night. The dining car waiter brings me breakfast in the morning. And they ask me if I want a Coke while I'm sitting in the observation car. What a nice way to travel. That's why I got into railroads, and I've been in railroads now for almost 40 years. And I know that there are many thousands of Americans who had that experience. In fact, in the 20s, the 1920s, Pullman was the largest hotel chain in the world. It had over 100,000 beds, all of which were moving at night. Not something for the faint-hearted. And George Pullman's name is ubiquitous. We know what a Pullman suitcase is. The saying, "Let George do it," came from the fact that Pullman car porters were called George after George Pullman. There was even a society for the prevention of calling Pullman car porters George, started by a traveling salesman named George, and King George of England was a member of it. So George Pullman gets a lot of credit for what America was really like in the 1920s. But I want to tell you that the guy who didn't get the credit is probably just as important for you to know, because George Pullman died in 1897. The Pullman Company had been started, and it was operating sleeping cars and building sleeping cars, but there were still a bunch of other companies, the Man Boudoir Company, for example. And it was the second president of Pullman who bought up all the competition and turned Pullman into a nationwide chain that became an institution in America. That guy was Robert Todd Lincoln, the son of President Lincoln. How many of you knew that he was the second president? Okay, there's a few foamers in the crowd, but most of you didn't know that. I'm going to tell you one other thing that you might not have known. It almost didn't happen, because in 1864, during the War of Northern Aggression, I'm from Kentucky, Robert Todd Lincoln was standing on a platform, train platform in Newark, New Jersey, on his way back from Harvard to Washington, D.C. And as a train pulled in, somebody accidentally bumped him, and he fell in front of the train. This is a true story. I'm telling you, this is true. I'm not making this up. A hand came down, grabbed his collar, and yanked him to safety. The man who yanked him to safety was Edwin Booth, the brother of John Wilkes Booth. This is true. So you think about Pullman, and you think about the history, and you think about the relationship with Chicago and the historic town of Pullman, and the good and the bad that went with that. You think about the Pullman porters and the rise of young black men from poverty and the entrance into the middle class. You think about A. Philip Randolph and the Pullman Porters Union, which is celebrated by the Pullman Museum. There are many aspects to Pullman, and the part that we're about here today is what made Pullman what it was, a standard of travel that was implemented across the United States for every traveling salesman, every guy going to see a sweetheart, every soldier going off to war, families, old ladies, you name it. They were all spending the night in a Pullman berth. And that's what we're offering the opportunity to do. We're not trying to create something new. We're going back to the Pullman rulebook. We're going back to the Pullman service design and trying to create something that's truly an American experience. And we hope that you will join us. Thank you very much.